for you Portland listening audience is one of our fallen soldiers. We spoke last week on the show, before I read the Moorish Holy Quran. We spoke last week on the show about Brother Navi, our faithful member, on his way into the hospital to have his feet cut off. And the day after he got his feet cut off, his daughter shot herself in the head. And I want to talk about this evening because it's very important that I do, because she's one of us. She was born and raised right here in Portland, Oregon. And I want to talk about her and talk about her father because it's imperative that I do. And I'm going to start first by reading a chapter in the Moorish Quran. And the title of the chapter is Death and Burial of Elizabeth, Mothino's lesson, The Ministry of Death. And I'll read verse 1. And it reads on this wise. When John was 12 years old, his mother died. Now, when we say John was 12 years old, we're talking about John the Baptist. We're talking about when John the Baptist was 12 years old, his mother died. And it said that her kindreds laid her body in a tomb near Zacharias. Zacharias had a tomb, and this is where they put Elizabeth in that tomb next to Zacharias, because Zacharias was John's mother's wife. So it say when John was 12, his mother died, and neighbors laid her body in a tomb among her kindreds in Hebrew burial ground near the Zacharias tomb. Now, who is Zacharias? Zacharias was a priest in the temple of God, one of your and one of my descendants. And John was doing such a good work that the European nations wanted to get rid of John. And we know as we go on down the line, they gave him his head to a girl named Salome, who the priest gave her anything that she wanted because she danced so good. She asked for the head of John the Baptist. But what took place was John was visiting the Essene Brotherhood, of which his father and mother was a part of, like Jesus. And the Roman nations were looking for John because he was like Jesus, telling the people of a heavenly kingdom and not an earthly kingdom. So they wanted to get rid of him. They wanted to get rid of John the Baptist. You know, but the way that they got rid of Zacharias is John's father is because they went up in the temple looking for Zacharias, telling him that they wanted his son and he wouldn't give it up, so they killed him. So I want to talk about this death today. In the Moorish Science Temple of America, we say there's a holy ministry in death. And then there's a ministry of death. There's two different ways that you look at death. One of them is physical and one of them is spiritual. The physical death is when we have a loved one that's with us and they pass out this physical form and leave this plane of things made manifest. And that is what transpired with Navi's daughter. Now I want to tell you something about her before I go back into this book. It's very rare that you'll find a precious jewel like Navi's daughter. The one he put all his trust in, the one that was a home owner, the one that wasn't loose. We talked about that today. See what I mean by being loose? You can count on your hand the men that she had in her life. See, you can count on your hand the time that she's been out ripping and running into the community. She told me one time that when she was a child going through school, that her friends would call her on the telephone. Her friends would come and get her to try to go out, and she said, no, I'm studying. And every time I talked to somebody about Navi losing his daughter, they couldn't understand it because she was a precious jewel. She lived according to the words of God. She was a daughter like my daughters that a father will be proud of. We was talking, Navi and I, there's a sister here. And a sister here who calls herself a Moorish American. She calls herself a Moorish American, but she wanted to buy a bean pie one day and thought she should get it free. And there were 7 brothers standing on the corner when she asked for the bean pie. But 5 of those brothers she already had a relationship with. And not thinking that each one told each one, because that's how them Negroes do. They talk about their business. So she is not one of those sisters. She's one of the sisters that lived a morally clean life. Like I say, she owned her own home. She worked at the hospital up at OSU, and she did everything that a father would be proud of his daughter to do. So now, Navi got his foot cut off. And when he got his foot cut off, she couldn't accept that. The family trying to find out what's going on, but she couldn't accept that because she was named after him. Before he changed his name to Navi, her name was William, she was named after him, and she told me this. She said, when my father changed his name to Navi, I asked myself, should I change my name too? So this was Daddy's little girl. Now, Allah is really testing this brother. See, when we say nothing happened by chance or accident, and when we say that it's not in flesh to think, and it's not in bone to reason, and it is our spirit that actuate and direct the flesh, so you got to understand that man is not the body nor the soul. So as I told the brother, his daughter ain't going nowhere because you meet her just like you meet God in the spirit of truth. And if you living according to the fruits of the spirit, if you live according to the Kalima Shahada, if you live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, you are one with God. Because the nearest place you can meet God is in the heart of your mind. And you can only meet God when you do what God say do. A lot of people say God is the Father. But if God is the Father and you're a child of God, then you're doing what God say do. And if you're not doing what God say do, then God is not your Father. And that's why we are all stunned. Because the character of this sister, the wisdom of this sister, men talk. And when men talk, they talk about the characteristics of woman. And everybody was so proud of this young sister who was doing the things that God say do. He have another daughter. I went over there one day, and she was cleaning the house. And I looked at the way she had. She was on the floor, scrubbing the floor. I went home, I said, let me scrub too. Let me get this from this sister. So this brother is a good father. Their mother passed when he was really young, when they was real young, but this brother took care of his babies. He said he went out there and picked up cans and bottles and everything to be able to feed these children. So what he's going through, if everybody at my listening voice can just send a spirit there, just send a thought to that brother and let him know that's going to be all right, because God works in mysterious ways for those who don't understand him. And when we begin to talk about the spirit, it is not in flesh to think, and it's not in bones to reason. Now Navi is at home feeling bad as if it was his fault that his daughter passed. And you know what? I feel the same way. I feel bad that she passed because I didn't get a chance to give her Act 4, chapter 4 of the Moorish Holy Quran. So I want to read some more. And then I'm going to call on the brother Navi. But I want to listen. It says, death, verse 3. Death is no enemy of man. It is a friend who, when the work of life is done, just cut the cords that bind the human boat to earth, that it might sail on smoother seas. No language can describe a mother's worth, a daughter's worth, and yours was tried and true. But she was not called hence until her task was done. Let me say this again. You know, my mother told me one time that there's two things that God didn't like: self-murder and blasphemy. And she gave it to me from a Christian perspective. And I learned in the Moorish Science Temple that your good deeds could outweigh your bad deeds. And irrespective or irregardless of how she went through the other plane, when she was on this plane of things made manifest, she was God in flesh. She was living a morally clean life. She might go to Vegas and take a little sip of wine sometime. I don't know, but she might have done that. But she was still in her higher self. Sometimes we think we're in our higher self. Sometimes we think we're in our lower self. So brothers and sisters, those of you who have family members, we need to talk a little more. We need to talk to one another a little more. Because all the way up until this sister passed from, she was sending love notes, little things, little posters and things to the people that she was talking to. And no one had no idea of what this sister was going through mentally. But because of the love that she had for her father, And because she knew that when he lost a leg, that might be kind of hard for her to even be able to assist him in the ways that he's supposed to, she went on and took her phone. And man, we were hurting about it, but you know what? It say after the storm come the rainbow. We don't know what God got in store, but through her leaving this plane of things made manifest, God is going to give that family a lot of blessings. How do I know? Because he told me so. Because he said he leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. And you got to be still to hear. But from that death, life going to spring forth. Because when you begin to talk about life and when you begin to talk about death, when you're living according to God's law, you're living. When you're not living according to God's law, you're dead. So this sister was a living entity. And we're going to always miss her when you're talking about the flesh, but she always going to be with us in spirit. Now, I'm going to get ready to call our brother. One thing I heard today, her sister was telling me, say, when we come on the Moist Voice, and after the end of the show, when we start singing songs, so she would always call her sister, say, come on, they're getting ready to sing now. So being that we had an angel here that's always sing, you'll get a chance to hear from him right now. So without further ado, I'd like to call my brother, my friend, and the chairman of Temple 2 here in Portland, Oregon, Brother A. Boston Hill.
Chief. First of all, before I begin, I want to extend my condolences out to Navi, our treasurer, and his family, one of our true members, true and faithful members. So I want to send those condolences out there. Got a chance to know the sister, Willisha. We're talking about Navi's daughter, but it was a joy to hear that at the end of our show that she would always call her sisters into the living room to hear us sing. So we're going to kind of change things up a little bit today, and we're going to sing before the end of the show today. So I want to say this to Alicia. You always be in our remembrance. You always be in our hearts and minds. You always be every part of us because you are a spirit and an angel. So this song is for you. People speak your name and think what a shame you're gone. Still they know what you left behind lives in our hearts and minds today. Tomorrow a cloud of darkness came your way. You given such life a brighter day, and your memory will be so very, very special to me. In life's dreams and plans, it has taken the chance to hold you. Still we know your presence will be missed. Truly, truly blessed and day. Sorry, I can't go on no more. It's emotional time. The sister was a very good sister. And may Allah continue to bless the family, to bless Navi. And sister, wherever you are, I know you in the spirit. Remember, we'll always love you. You'll always be with us, and we'll always be with you. And with that, I'm going to turn the show back over to the sheep. Oh, I guess I can continue then. Sorry about that. I wanted to take a reading since chapter 4 is our chapter for tonight, I want to take this part and read it, and just assure Brother Navi that we're here with you, brother, and we'll always be with you. Verse 7 says, "Then let your daughter rest in peace. Just let her noble life be strength and inspiration unto you. A crisis in your life has come, and you must have a clear conception of the work that you are called to do. The sages of the ages call you harbinger. The prophets look to you and say, he is Elijah come again." Brother Navi, since I met this brother, he's been a real good brother. He's got a good heart. Done helped me out on a lot of occasions, and that shows the love and the unity and the bond of affection that we have for one another, because the Prophet Noble Ali teaches us in the holy the covenant of the Asiatic nations that we are the children of one Father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother have given ye suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brother, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother's in adversity, assist him. If thy sister's in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. So, just reading that and reflecting on that particular chapter today, as I thought about the brothers, I thought about the sisters, I thought about the family and what they're going through, especially losing a family member, and Walisha was a beautiful sister. She worked hard. She took care of her father, and that's one thing I admired and respected so much about her, is that she took care of her father. Every time that he was in the hospital, she was always there. His daughters was always there, but she was always there, and she was always in the ring with them doctors and them nurses up there about her father, So I respect and appreciate it, how much time and attention that she did give to her father. So, dear sister, you're going to truly be missed. And it would be incumbent upon me to even say that you would not be in my thoughts, because you will each and every day. You were a beautiful sister. You had a beautiful heart. And right now you with Allah, spirit, you with Allah. Another reading that I want to take so I can finish up tonight is out of chapter 17. And as the Sheikh mentioned earlier, he was talking about a holy ministry in death, and then he was talking about the ministry of death. And there's a holy ministry in the death. So I want to share this out of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. These are the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet Noble Ali, chapter 17. And it begins like this. In flesh of man there is the essence of the resurrection of the dead. This essence, quickened by the holy breath, will raise the substance of the body to higher tone, and make it like the substance of the bodies of the planes above, which human eyes cannot behold. There is a holy ministry in death. The essence of the body cannot be quickened by the holy breath until the fixed is solved. The body must disintegrate, and this is death. And then upon these pliant substances Allah breathes, just as he breathed upon the chaoses of the deep when the worlds were formed. And life springs forth from death. The carnal form is changed to form divine. The will of man makes possible the action of the holy breath. When will of man and will of Allah are one, the resurrection is a fact. In this we have the chemistry of mortal life, the ministry of death, the mystery of deific life. And that's the end of my reading right there. That was from chapter 17 of our holy Moorish Quran this evening. At this time, I believe that I am done for the evening. It's kind of an emotional day as I think about the brother and what he's going through and what pains he's going through in his heart, you know, about his daughter, his baby girl. And so I'm going to call the Sheik Lynch-Bey back on and let him share some more with us. We had some questions that we wanted to ask this week, but we're going to wait and forego that on the following week, next Sunday. This is all about Navi and his daughters and his family and everything. So this show is dedicated to the memory of Alicia Wade. And may Allah continue to bless Naveed and the family. Peace.
Praise Allah. Thank you, Brother Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Praise Allah. It's always an honor to be able to hear a master come and speak about the last prophet in these days and time, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You know, there's a lesson that we've given in the Moorish Science Temple of America. Really, we're talking about King David. We're talking about David. Drew Ali say, David of the light is purity, who slew the strong Goliath of the dark and seek to save your love upon the throne. Now, there was a big old dude who thought he was real bad. He going around in the neighborhood, he want to beat everybody up. His name was Goliath. And then my homeboy, David had a lot of heart. David loved God. And David had a slingshot and a hopping cord. So he took the slingshot and hit that big old dude Goliath in the head and killed him. But let me tell you what, the David and the Goliath is the two forces that's within you. There's a positive force within you, and there's a negative force within you. The David is the light that's in you, and the Goliath is the death and the dark and the things of this plane of things made manifest within you. So I'm thinking about Alicia with that lesson, because I'm thinking about the higher self and the lower self. And then I'm thinking about when they was talking about the dry bones in the valley. See, they was talking about you got dry bones in the valley. They walking around like they living. But in essence, they're dead. So when that sister was here on this plane of things made manifest, she was a living entity. I was talking to Drew's mother today, one of his daughters. Drew is one of our brothers, the next Grand Sheik here in Portland, Oregon, his grandson. And she was telling me that she talked to a few of Alicia's friends, and they was talking about the character. They was talking about the character of this sister. See, we don't realize, we don't even know really who we are for real. Sometimes we think we're in our higher self, and when we do the things of the world, then we're in our lower self. Because the only way you could be in your higher self if you're walking with God. If you walking with Jehovah, if you walking with Allah. I say all them different names because he's the causeless cause, the rootless root from which all things have gone. But what the spirit don't realize, by we losing this sister in flesh, it's going to do something to the spirit of the children and the family, because everybody knew her. They knew her character. When I talk about older brothers, to the older brothers about Navi, they say, not her, man. Not his daughter. Because, like I say, he have a daughter that he is proud of. I have two like that myself. And his two daughters, you know, they had a brother by the name of Lot. And Lot is my relative, Abraham's nephew. And Lot led the people out of Sodom and Gomorrah. And they said Lot had two daughters. And he said the two daughters that he had, they said Lot impregnated his daughters. And that don't make sense to me. It don't make sense to me because of the righteousness in that brother. And Navi, his two daughters that's here in Portland, yes, he did. He went into them. But he went into them on the pregnant doctrine, built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. He went into his two daughters with the truth. That's why when I see them, I see him, because reflection is the business of man. So like I say, years ago, when I was coming up, because I'm over 65, I'm happy to be able to say that. Because people in our age, they thought we'd be gone by now. But back in the day, when you hear about one's committing suicide, when I was a child, it was not of African descent. It was because of someone else. And the reason why we go into some of the changes that we go through is because of the things we let in our mind. So we got to let these things out. So this is the Last Supper. When Jesus was with his disciples at the Last Supper, what did he feed them? He gave them food for thought. A lot of us, when death come about, we cry, we boo, we do a lot of other things. But the book tells us. The book tells all of us. The man is not the body nor the soul. He's the spirit and a part of the law. I'm kind of glad she's no longer on this plane of things manifest. Because look what we go through out here. Look at the trials and tribulations we go through out here. We go through so many things out here. So I'm trying to learn my lessons now. I'm trying to be a body beautiful. I'm trying to walk with God so I don't have to come back out here on this plane of things made manifest to do all this foolishness. So talk about her. Brother asked me how's Temple 2 doing. Temple 2 is doing real good. Temple 2 is doing good because we're trying to study the word of God. We're trying to make ourselves approved. We understand the temple of God is within. And if we say that this is the temple of God, then it got to be godly things that we do. And see, this sister, I want to reiterate it. I got to messed up. Because I should have went over chapter 4, but then if something else would have transpired, I should have read chapter 3. I should have read chapter 5. I should have read chapter 7. But what I want to say, all of you who know Navi, this brother, his youngest child, this brother is going through something. I called Abdullah today. Abdul ran right up there to see him. Because if Abdullah, when ain't nobody else going, they say that, but they're not going to see him. But we need to understand that you meet God in the spirit of truth. And when you're living in truth, you are walking with God. That's why that sister is the way that she was. Now, who is she? She's Ruth. She's Ruth because Navi checks his DNA. And when he checked his DNA, they say he went back to the Amistad tribe. You know, and these are those that was in Spain. And when he did that, he hooked himself back up because we were talking today in the hospital to his other dogs and letting them know from which they come. They are Moorish. They are Moorish. Some of them call themselves Negro. Some of them call themselves black. Some of them call themselves colored. But that's the key. If we know that, then something has to be wrong because man today is what his forefathers were yesterday. And there is no one who is able to change man from the decent nature of his mother and father unless his power extended beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. So I'm right here with Navi. I don't know the reason for it, but I know God has something in store. Because wherever I'm at, God got something in store. And I'm trying to live a more than clean life and do Drew Ali's work. So I know he has something great for Navi. He has something in store for that brother. Because, man, he went through it, man. Now, let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you something about Navi. Let me tell you something about this dude. Man, this dude crazy. This dude had a stroke. He a strong brother, though. Man, this dude had a stroke and went and bought him a brand new Harley Davidson motorcycle. I'm saying this thing was so beautiful, you should see it. And he rode home on the motorcycle. And when he rode home on the motorcycle, he had the wrong shoes on. Blister got on his feet. One was under the one that he didn't know, and he had to get an operation. But we're looking at this as being something negative. We all looking at it as being something negative, and we're not looking at something positive. Because sometimes the higher self could look like the lower self could look like the higher self. But God is the best of knower and the best of planner. That's what you already told us. So whatever is transpiring right now, because you got to understand, we love these things out here. We love to follow, not to lead, and we like the things out here on this plane of things made manifest. It was a girl that a friend of mine said he used to go with. And she passed for him 10 years ago, and he didn't know it. And every day, he would always think about the things that they used to do together. She was alive then, but she's no longer alive now. But she didn't know in her own mind. But he kept her alive, and he kept the happy times alive. So the family, all we got to do is just keep remembering that sister. Like I say, most of the sisters I see now don't have the character she has. We're looking for sisters that have character like that because she's Sister Ruth. She's Sister Mary. She's doing the work of God. She don't have to go to a church right now. See, a lot of times, if you don't go to church, you ain't did. No, you ain't got to go to church because the temple of God is within. And I don't know what she did, but she was reading the Bible. And I didn't know she was listening to them songs that we were singing here in the temple because Drew Ali sang. So they say if you sing, it's Christian. Man, the Christian, they don't sing in the Catholic Church. They say, oh, Don Bishop, whatever. They don't sing in the Catholic Church because they don't have no soul. The soul is the ether of the spirit plane. But when you go on to church, what do you hear? Singing. At the first convention in the Moorish Science Temple, we heard songs. So you know she's an angel because music is the language of the angel. And this sister always say, come here, because you know we sing some religious songs. So I'm honored. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be with Navi when he's going through what he's going through. And I ain't gonna pull no punches with him. That's my man. He know what the law is. I said, man, he said, yeah, chapter 4. See, because chapter 4 is something you got to look at. Drew Ali gave us that. Like I say, everybody else, when you go to funeral, they're booing and crying. But we know that the nearest place to meet Allah is in the heart. Sometimes I wish that on my brothers and my sisters. If I knew they live in a moral and clean life. To come back out here, man, it's rough out here. On this plane of things made manifest. Because see, we fell from the spirit plane to the soul plane. To the plane of things made manifest. That's this earthly plane. We're down here now. We call this third heaven. That's why the third plane, the spirit, the soul, and we got to make heaven right here on earth. And that sister, whenever anyone went around her, you know what she gave you? She gave you heaven on earth. And right now, Navi, he going to think about it. But one thing about him, he ain't never had to worry about that girl. He never had to worry about her going through the trials and tribulations. I told her the other day, I said, sister, you go on her here. Father wants you to hurry up, go and get you a husband so you can have him a child. She said, that ain't going to happen. See? She said it ain't going to happen. And you know why it ain't going to happen? Because she done been through some relationships. And the relationships she went through, they was faking. See? You got to understand, you can't tell a sister or you can't tell a child, don't do as I say do. You got to, do as I do. Or don't do as I do as I say do. You can't do that in this earth time. And this sister was so firm. And when she's so fortified, and like I say, I was at the hospital one time. I'm a combat medic. So I went to medical school myself in the military. So we was up there one time, her, all this dog, we was in the hospital, and I looked at Navi and he was almost dead. So I ran to the doctor and started talking to the doctor. And she looked at me because she go to the hospital. She did the same thing. So when I came back in the room, Navi said, I was almost gone, man. I know you was almost gone. Allah showed me that. But he ain't finished with you. That's why you sing the prayer of Hezekiah. God got something in store for you, brother. Allah, the Father of the universe, is blessing you in so many different ways. The Canaanite brothers, they there for you. Every time somebody hear you, they love you. And I'm just honored, brother, to be a part of it. And honored that you're going to be a part of this great work that we're about to perform here in Portland, Oregon. I'd like to give honor to Gamaliel. Gamaliel, my brother, he was up the hospital with me, to see Navi, and he was happy going up there. They got that certain brothers around, some things happened to Navi across the country. And brother took some paper from him. I don't like it. And you're lucky that he's not a part of Temple 2. Because if he's a member of Temple 2 right now, you brother around the country, I'll be coming to see you, man, and get that back. Because I don't play. You don't play with you all these Moors. Just like you got a lot of brothers. They talking about this guy and that guy. They honor this guy. I can't honor you if you ain't living what you all these say. If you ain't living according to the divine constitution, the bylaws, the district law, then I can't honor that. Because you can't serve two masters at one time. You got to love one and despise the other. That's why I'm so happy to be around a group of men that I'm around here in Portland, Oregon, because they're over a certain particular age and they done been through the trials and tribulations of life. So now they trying to get close to God. And the way that we get close to God, I was telling Linda Eel on the telephone today. And I say it all the time. When you first meet a Moorish American, if he don't have a compass, a square, and an axe in his hand, then you better get away from him because you know he one of those other dudes. He one of those priests that come in the back door. Drew Ali tells us that in the literature, that you're going to have priests come in the back door. I was at a meeting yesterday, and some people wanted some prophet's tea. And I took them to prophet's tea, and they asking about this guy, that guy. I said, you better learn about the prophet. See, Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and time, the first one to come to bring you and me Islam. And from what I see now, Navi's family is going to be one of the first, because Qadar is the first, one of the first Muslim families that's going to teach his people to learn to love instead of hate. So we just wanted to come by today and give honor to that sister. you know, because, you know, she's been a part of us for the last 3 years. She's been there. She's done taught lessons. She support our fish fries and whatever we do, and she always come to see Dad. You know, so that's important. And all she had to do is call, and we come a running. You know, so I wanted to say that because when I heard that yesterday, man, it took me for a loop. But I went back and I was up early this morning praying. And the only thing I could tell Navi, after the storm, come the rainbow. See, Allah is not going to put no more on none of us than we could bear. But I feel this pain because I have 2 daughters too. And I'm so proud of both of them. Both of them are homeowners. Both of them has finished college. Both of them ain't going to have no 5 or 10 babies by no different man. If they do, it's going to be by their husband. And I respect that. And Navi got that kind of spirit in his daughter. I was with his other daughter today, man, Drew's mother, Lynch-Bey's son. And man, we had a good time up there. I'm going to try to steal that dude and teach him some of the things that his father teaches. So it's always an honor. What I want to do now is I'm going to sing a song. I'm going to sing a song. And this is a song that I heard Navi sing all the time when he got himself together. And it's Great Change. And it goes like this. Great change since I've been born. There's a great change since I've been born. The things I used to do, I don't do no more. Well, the things I used to do, I don't do no more. Well, those things I used to do, I don't do no more. There's been a great change since I've been born. The places I used to go, I don't go no more. Well, those places I used to go, I don't go no more. Well, those places I used to go, I don't go no more. There's been a great change since I've been born. One more verse. The friends I used to have, I don't have no more. Well, those friends I used to have, I don't have no more. Well, those things I used to have, I don't have no more. There's been a great change since I've been born. You know, a lot of people that say they Moors, they don't like to hear or sing those kind of songs, even though Drew Ali sang at our first convention. And they say that if you sing those kind of songs, it's Christian. But Drew Ali say the foundation of Christianity began in Rome. And if you've ever been in the Catholic Church, because if anybody say that there's a Christian, your leader is the Catholic Church, because from the Catholic Church, when Martin Luther put the thesis on the board in Wittenberg, came Baptist, Protestant, Methodist, Presbyterian, etc. So when you begin to talk about singing, music is the language of an angel. So that's why we had to sing 2 songs today. We had to sing 2 songs for Navi's daughter. But the one he sung was really for Navi's daughter. This is one for Navi. Because this brother, the brother's pure.
Yeah.
The brother's good. I am seeing him, but he's the strongest brother I met here in Portland, Oregon. Matter of fact, I love him so much, I got to give you a secret. When I was teaching here at Portland, I got here, I made everybody learn the prayer, learn all their lessons. And Navi told me one day, he said, man, they told me to leave you because you too hard and you teaching. He said, man, Lynch-Bey, all he's doing is trying to get you to learn your lesson. So when all them dudes get to running and UCC and everything, because Navi took the paperwork. That brother been here ever since. When nobody else was here, even before I met Boston here, that brother was right there with me, crippled, coming to his meeting. Drew Ali said, attend your meetings, keep in line with all necessity, attend your meeting, even if you have to crawl. I seen him one day crawling to his meeting. I picked him up and pulled him. I said, man, you crawling to your meeting, in the prophet said. So we're serious here. We ain't playing. You know, we trying to live according to Drew Ali's law. If you ain't about the law, then man, you ain't about what we're talking about. So Navi, just hold on, more. Allah got you. Allah is talking to you. A many are called, and a few are chosen, and some were sent. So you wasn't sent. The Spirit is working on you. And when God grab on one of us, we got to understand that it's for some kind of reason. Nothing happened by chance or accident. That sister was pure. Now we might say, well, why did God take her and he ain't take one of these sleaze bags? Because he's know what he's doing. And that sleaze bag that you're thinking about, it might be the next leader of our temple. You know, just like when you begin to talk about when he went up into the wilderness, Moses. And when he went up into the wilderness, or when you talk about Abraham, or when you're talking about the Tower of Babel, or when you're talking about anything, any of them lessons that you hear, you got to apply them to yourself. And what we're talking about today, we hope that you apply it to yourself, and it gives you the opportunity to start spending a little more time with your family. A lot of times we think money is what do it. A lot of people have babies, and they think if you just give the baby some money, then it'll be all right. You got to give them your time. See, when No Jew Ali said middles must pay their dues, when he say pay your dues, he must talk about putting yourself in your child. Because reflection is a business of man. So we're honored here. We are honored here in Portland, Oregon, to be able to come before our Portland listeners in order to tell you about one of your own. And if you don't know her, ask somebody about her. Because she is like a rare jewel, like I said. Because her character, you don't see that too many different places. And I'm talking to you from the circle of men talking. See, this sister lived a moral and clean life. And it was things that took place in her life that was in disarray. What she did was straighten it up. She didn't have to catch the bus. She had her own car. She had her own job. She's a homeowner. You don't see that too much here in Portland. You know, and she did that, and she's getting ready to drink a beer one time, or some wine. She said, I'm not going to do that because I got to pay my bills. You know, she said that come first. That other stuff I might do periodically, but my bills come first, so I'm honored. That's my niece, because Navi is my brother. So I'd like to read another verse of the Moorish Holy Quran. Verse 8, Navi. And the prophet said, a crisis in your life has come. And you must have a clear conception of the work that you are called to do. So right now you got to look at yourself. Say, man, what is this, Allah? Why is this? What are you putting on me? So you got to have a clear conception. He put you through this because you know how you talk about when they in the fire, like Meshach, Rakshak, and Abednego, when they was in the burning fire, you looked up, it was 3, and then you see 4. They talking about you, baby. You are the 4 sacred schools of thought. They talking about you. You know, we was in the hospital there, we had Confucius up there. We had Buddha up there. We had Jesus up there. So Mo, understand that whatever you going through, Allah the best knower and the best of planner, and he ain't gonna put no more on you than you can bear. Man, you gonna miss your daughter? We all gonna miss her. But she ain't going nowhere because the nearest place to meet her and God is in the heart. The heart is not the heart that pumps blood because it's not in flesh to think. It's not in bones to read. It's the heart of the mind. So in conclusion, we might be able to get another song in, Mo. In conclusion, I want to quote something, and then I'm going to let Mo take the rest. Ye are the children of one Father. You already recorded this. Provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother has given ye suck. That the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brother, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when you separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thine own blood. If thy brother's in adversity, assist him. If thy sister's in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. I'll recite the Moorish American prayer, the source from which we draw our strength. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Last week, this time, she ran to hear you sing. So let her hear you sing again, Mom.
Let her hear me sing. All right, well, Alicia, here's another one for you. Rainbows in the sky, iced tea in July, watching shooting stars can be so much fun. But they don't mean a thing if you're not with me. The more miracle, you're number one. You are number one. You are number one.
Sing it, Mo.
You are number one.
Praise Allah.
You are number one. We are living in a world spinning round from day to day inside the Milky Way. And if the world catches you off guard and spins you off, we will bring you back. If I think of all the things that mean so much to me, the words don't mean as much as actions actually. Rainbows in the sky, iced tea in July, watching shooting stars can be so much fun. But they don't mean a thing if you're not with me. Love all miracle, you are number one. 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 Happy, happy, happy as a baby you made me feel. I wanna stay with you, darling, for eternity. My world, I'm so glad to know that you're my angel, yeah. Hey guys, I just want to tell y'all one more time how I feel about this girl. You are number one.
The young brother was downright eloquent with his misinformed soliloquy. He said using nigger affectionately among ourselves takes the negativity out of the word, but that no other race of people can use it ever but us. And you thought that kind of reasoning existed only in the Twilight Zone. Then again, the Twilight Zone was a TV show, and the plight of black America is tragic reality. Somebody said the revolution would not be televised. They didn't say anything about our devolution, which is well documented. You see it every day in our disrespect for one another. You can hear it in our sad excuse for artistry. continue to squander our brilliant cultural legacy as musicians, poets, educators, and inventors. We call our women bitches and hoes. In a vivid exhibition of self-repulsion, we refer to ourselves as niggas. In our quest for acceptance and our relentless worship of bling, we have shared our sense of dignity and self-worth. It didn't used to be this way. Ironically, back when we fought for the opportunities we now abuse, that is when we stood tallest. Out of our torturous struggle for equality morphed a mighty pride and honor.
Slaves to our freedom.
The good fight. But high praise for low thinking has taken its toll on generations. When so Lord knows, he didn't think we'd end up here.